So Echovate's a people analytics platform. We empower organizations to capture and visualize emotional and social intelligence data to build predictive success models and improve future outcomes. And we'll get into what that really means. But the big picture is you're sitting on a ton of data, a treasure of data. And that data is in the form of all of your students, everybody from freshmen all the way through, graduating seniors, even into alumni. And that data is there. You can capture it. The problem, right now it's unstructured data. It's just out there. And so we have the ability in real time to collect that social or emotional and social intelligence on all of your students, help you visualize it and understand what it means, and then actually do something with it, which we'll show you when we actually look at the product. Our product is used by leading colleges and companies. It's part of what we like to consider or think about as a success continuum from high school all the way through employment. So we have users that start in high school during the application process into colleges and universities, students that are already in the system, and then as they start to think and move towards employability. And then on the other side is we have companies that are also looking around university recruitment and building their talent pipeline of college students. Echovate, really the foundation and key is all around emotional and social intelligence. You've probably heard the term EQ versus IQ, and it's really looking at somebody's behavioral attributes. So we've built all of our own predictive science and modeling. It's based on the 5-factor model, which is widely accepted and used by some of the best and largest organizations in the world. We measure 10 key attributes, things like empathy or grit or perseverance. It has been built and validated by a group of PhDs, so it is defensible and it is predictive. And we think it's so cool, we've also filed a patent for it. So to sort of walk you through the process, because we get these questions a lot, which is, how do I go in and start to capture that data on my existing students? It's really simple. You can create a link. You can share that link, whether it's through social media, email, some sort of communication platform that you have. You get that link out. Students go in, they go through the process. We see a very, very high completion rate, over 98%. It takes them less than 5 minutes to complete. And if you're using some sort of CRM tool, we also have built Echovate to seamlessly integrate with those tools as well, so not to duplicate certain aspects of your work. Within the platform, and I'll show this to you in a second when we actually go through and do, show you the product. But really, again, the cornerstone is you have the ability to come in here and profile all of your existing students to try to discover and then define in these predictive models, these frameworks, what does success look like across your organization or across your university. And then anybody inside the college or university, any students or any applicants from high school that are coming through, they also build a profile, and we have this simple match score. And this match score is matching to a framework. And so I wanted to provide the big context and sort of what this is. I'll show you actually how it works, but just the sort of the idea, the big idea of what it is. You capture student data, you build these predictive models in the form of frameworks, and then we associate a similarity score against those. We've also taken it a step further, and we've gone out and built our own success framework and built our own predictive models. We have a national student data set of currently enrolled students representing over 750 colleges and universities. And within the Echovate platform, you also have access to that data to provide further context into, into the data that we have versus what you may have. So within higher education, what we call the higher education value chain, we see this as a really big big opportunity or big value add in really 3 key areas. The first is admissions, and not in any particular order, but admissions. We're helping them to expand their decision criteria beyond academic performance. And so if you think about maybe applicants that are coming in, you may have a third that are sort of a no-brainer because academically they're off the charts. You may have a middle third where you simply just don't have enough data to make a really strong informed decision on those people. And then obviously the bottom third, oftentimes they're just not even close academically, and so that's an easy decision. And so we're able to help expand that decision criteria by looking at that emotional and social intelligence data, and again, how it maps back to your current success. We also see that it helps with hitting enrollment numbers, improving yield, reducing turnover. It has all types of different impact, and that varies school by school. And then, as importantly, we help you build future success models so you can actually start to track what is successful and how do we continue to replicate that success in the future. Regarding career services, this is actually pretty straightforward. Think about career readiness. What does that individual need to do? Again, this is all based on the emotional and social intelligence aspect of this. But if you think about things of coaching opportunities and suggested interview questions and things like that. We also, through career services, have the ability to help connect with employers around things like internships and mentoring, and then sort of post-graduation employability around employer matching. Because if you think about an employer, they're most interested that somebody's going to be a good fit. They're going to fit with their, again, sort of their EQ and the personalities within the organization. And they're willing to invest in that person because they know that they don't maybe have the skill set right out of college because they've been going to college for 4 years. However, if they know that they're a good fit for the organization, they will take the time and invest in that individual. And then lastly is the leadership team, the C-suite. There's obviously a big conversation around revenue continuity and the financial implications of not hitting strategic goals. That also ties into things around corporate relations, investor relations, as well as institutional advancement. So that's sort of the higher ed value chain of where our customers are using Echovate across the landscape. So let me bring you over into the live system here. First, what I want to show you is we've gone through and we've profiled students at your college or university. I showed you that link earlier. The 5 minutes they've taken, the 98% completion rate. And now we have all of these existing students that are in the Echovate platform in your account. And we can see, all the way down, we can see how many we have in here, 371 people. But more importantly, now that we've collected that data on those 10 attributes, how do we visualize that data and actually make sense of it and do something with it? And so now in this case, what we're seeing is based on those 371 individuals, your average on competitiveness is a 60. And you may all of a sudden say, well, we want our class to be a bit more competitive. Maybe it's a business school, or maybe it's a law school or whatever else it might be. But you have now the ability to capture the data, recognize where you sort of plot on each one of these. You also have the ability to see where our Echovate range is on the national data set that we've created and provide context. And now you have the ability to go ahead and adjust these as much as you want. Now, the exciting thing about this as well is you can actually go in here and filter, because maybe you profiled, again, a business school, or maybe you want to look at a certain enrollment date range. And as you do this and you filter, then obviously this dynamically changes, and you can go in and create as many frameworks as you want. And, here's two quick examples of freshmen in business. And so now with these frameworks that you've created, I'll sort of take you over in a different direction. Let's say you're using this in the admissions department for any applicant that comes through your application process. Now we have all the individuals that have come through, and each individual we automatically, or as we joke around and call it automagically, map back to a success framework. So in this case, you have somebody like Emily. She's an 86% match to a framework. But I think what's important when you think about expanding your decision criteria, over in here, she's in that sort of middle third when it comes to academic success, academic performance. However, what we're suggesting, based on the data that you've collected on your existing students and on the success of your existing students, we believe that Emily is actually going to be a really good fit for that institution. Conversely, we may have somebody like Michael down here. Academically, he's also in the middle, and Emily and Michael are very similar. However, his match score to a framework is actually considerably lower. So again, when you think about expanding your decision criteria beyond just that academic performance, where they may be very similar or they may be in that middle third, now all of a sudden we can actually distinguish that by a score. We can also go deeper where, of course, you're going to want to learn more about Emily and see specifically her attributes. And so now we have Emily and we're saying, okay, here's how she ranks on each of our 10 attributes. So she's, sort of moderately competitive versus in this case, we're comparing the Echovate framework and any frameworks that you would have created in the screen prior over here, she would automatically match towards those as well. And so she's actually a good match when it comes to, say, a freshman framework that you've created. We've also, as you can tell, built our entire platform to be very intuitive, very user-friendly as you go through here. A lot of people are not behavioral scientists, and so you can always go in here and click and say, hey, what does this actually mean? We also have built a nice narrative. So because we know how Emily scored on each of the 10 attributes, we can tell you what are her top 3 attributes. And then we can provide a nice narrative, kind of like if you were sitting across the table from somebody that actually knew Emily and said, hey, she's motivated by this. Here's maybe some concerns about her, and so on and so forth. And then lastly is we also pull in some outside demographics around socio and economic data. Because what we want to do is we want to provide the context of the environment that Emily grew up in. Did she go to a school where it was a very low graduation rate and not a lot of people are going to college? Or was it a very affluent community where, there's lots of test prep and the school had all the latest and greatest technologies? And so now we can go in here and show you again in real time, how far is she from your college? What's the median household income? Was it a big, small community? We can give you, again, the context of where she went to school and what does that look like? And then any sort of socioeconomic data as well.